What's up guys? In today's video I'll be commencing a video series that will teach you all you need to know about competitive Pokemon. This will start from the beginner level and then gradually go into more advanced concepts. The information in this video is courtesy of my new book that will be coming out soon. It will teach you all you need to know about how to master competitive Pokemon. This series will be a video complement to that. Without further ado, let's begin. Today's video will focus on what a metagame is. But before we do that, it is important that you already understand the fundamentals. The fundamentals are the informational parts of Pokemon. This includes knowing the types, knowing what they're super effective against, and knowing their weaknesses and neutralities. Knowing the power, accuracy, and after effects of most moves. Knowing every Pokemon's typing, weaknesses, move pool stats. It also includes knowing what each battle usable item does. Pokemon also can be cultivated and modified, so it is imperative that you understand how effort values, otherwise known as EVs, and individual values, otherwise known as IVs, impact them. Each Pokemon prior to battle is your personal, customizable war machine. A Pokemon battle involves assembling a team of 6 or less Pokemon to take down your opponent's team. You're the commander. Now if you're completely new, then what you just heard may sound overwhelming. But fret not, these are not difficult to learn. I'm not going to go into detail on these topics in this video. This video's focus is on mastering competitive play. If you like this information, then I suggest you stop listening right now and go learn these things. All this information is easily attainable via the informational Pokemon websites such as Cerebi and Bulbapedia, just to name a few. Okay. So if you're still watching, then I assume you know the fundamentals. So let's get into what a metagame is. There are forces that exist outside of each individual Pokemon that impact how they operate. While each Pokemon generally has a wide array of moves that it can learn, oftentimes you will find that they will consistently use only 10 to 15 of what's within its move pool. A move pool being all the Pokemon moves a Pokemon is capable of learning. This is a byproduct of these factors I mentioned earlier. A Pokemon is superior to another when it performs a particular role more effectively on a consistent basis in comparison to its alternatives. In other words, if you can get the job done, then you're hired. If you can't get the job done, then you're fired. Imagine for a second two plumbers. Both can get the job done, however one does it more quickly and efficiently 90% of the time, while the other gets the job done efficiently but only 60% of the time and at twice the amount of time it takes. Who would you hire? Naturally, the better of the two would get picked. A natural consequence of this is that a hierarchy will begin to form within the plumbers. The more efficient plumbers get hired more often. This also exists in Pokemon. The more efficient Pokemon tend to get used more often. This then causes players to react. Players will begin to select Pokemon that do well versus the Pokemon that everybody else is using. Eventually a Pokemon marketplace begins to develop. The most valuable Pokemon are the ones who are used most often, and the Pokemon that are used most often are the ones that are most efficient. Because of this frequency, players adapt by selecting moves, EVs, and items that can best handle them. It's a strategic move to protect themselves. Within this hierarchy, there are tiers. Higher tiers will include the quote-unquote best Pokemon at the time, most frequently used in other words, whereas lower tiers will include the lesser ones, less frequently used. It's akin to leagues in sports. There are lower leagues you can play in if you're not good enough to play with the best of the best. You still get to play, you're just not amongst the best. The only difference is lower tier Pokemon can be used in higher tiers, but the opposite is not true. The best Pokemon are banned from being used amongst the worst. Over time, a culture begins to develop within the tiers. Each starts to function as its own domain, otherwise known as a metagame. A metagame is an environment that is produced as a result of the interaction between Pokemon and the effects they have on each other. In the real world, each culture has its own unique social norms. If a person immerses itself in one for an extended period of time, they will begin to learn its ways and develop the ability to anticipate certain things because they occur frequently. They will begin to adapt in ways that allow them to cope or thrive within that environment. Metagames are dynamic and always changing, and a Pokemon's entire role can change depending on the metagame it is being used in. View a metagame sort of like a country. You may have been raised in a part of the world that's very tropical. You're used to it. You thrive there. If you were to move to a different part of the world, let's say somewhere that's very cold, then you'd have to now adapt in a way where you can now thrive like you did in the tropical homeland. There are different cultures. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully now you will have a better understanding of what a metagame is and will now see improvement in your overall game. If this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share with anybody who you think could benefit from it. Subscribe to see more Pokemon videos like this, and until next time, peace.